Welcome to this segment in which we are going to study about soil part 2, and in this we will be talking about soil erosion and its conservation. Students, what is soil erosion? Then soil erosion is the removal of the topsoil by different agents of weathering such as running water, wind, overgrazing, men, plants and animals, and even the faulty methods of agriculture. There is one more definition which you can write is when the rate of removal of soil particles by denudation process is more than the rate at which they are added to the layer by soil formation process. Then we will also study what is soil conservation. So, soil conservation includes all those measures which help in protecting the soil from getting exhausted. Okay, now students, in this slide we are going to study about soil erosion. Few things you should be knowing about soil erosion are: first of all, what are the factors on which the rate of soil erosion depends? So, the answer will be, it depends upon the nature of soil, slope of the ground, density of vegetation cover and the characteristic of rainfall in that particular area. Now, the next thing which you should know are the causes of soil erosion. Basically, two main causes are by natural forces and by human activities. Now, what are the natural forces by which the soil erosion takes place? Are running water, wind and nature of rainfall. Now, what things come under human activities are, first of all, faulty methods of cultivation. Second is deforestation. Third is overgrazing by domestic animals. And the fourth is heavy population pressure on land. Students, you can see huge information is being fetched on the screen under these headings. Kindly learn it also. It will help you in giving objective answers. Now, you also should know what are the worst affected areas in India because of soil erosion. The answer will be the Badlands of Chambal and the Yamuna River, the Piedmont zones of the Western Ghats, the Chota Nagpur Plateau region, and the dry areas of Rajasthan, Gujarat and Haryana. One more thing which you should know about soil erosion is, what are the effects of soil erosion? Now, the answer will be, first point, lowering of land productivity. Second point, results in silting of rivers and canal beds leading to frequent river floods. The third point, lowers groundwater table and decreases soil moisture. Fourth point, increases aridity. And the fifth point, increases frequency of drought and floods. So students, you can make notes also of these slides. In this slide, students, we are going to study about wind erosion and water erosion, which are the two agents of soil erosion. Now, if we talk about wind erosion, so what is wind erosion? Wind erosion refers to the movement and deposition of soil particles by wind. It occurs when soil is devoid of vegetation cover and it is exposed to high velocity winds. Basically, soil erosion takes place when the moisture in the soil is less. Now beta, what are the different methods by which the wind erosion takes place? Is suspension, siltation and soil creep. What I want here from you all is, I am going to tell you the definitions for all these three. Kindly you note them somewhere. Suspension. The particles less than 0.1 mm or the finest particles detached into suspension as dust particles. Saltation. Wind moves soil particles of 0.1 to 0.5 mm of size in bouncing and whooping fashion. This is called saltation. Soil creep. Wind moves soil particles of greater than 0.5 mm in size by rolling, and it is known as soil creep. Now students, we will talk about the prime factors of soil erosion, which is running water, and how does this takes place. First of all, again I want to tell that you can write the definitions which I am going to tell just now. First of all, we come to splash erosion. When the soil is pulverized by the impact of heavy drops and hailstones, as in the case of convectional rainfall. Now we come to slip erosion. During the rainy season, water percolates and makes the soil saturated. When it is unable to percolate further down to impermeable rock strata, a great mass of overlying soil on the steep land or slopes come down, causing landslide. Now I will talk about sheet erosion. It occurs on gentle slopes and is the slow removal of their layer of soil when vegetation is destroyed. Rainwater washes away their layers of bare soil, layer after layer. Example is the foothills of Himalayas. Now I will talk about rill erosion. When sheet erosion continues for long, the silt-laden runoff forms many finger-shaped rills or grooves over a large area. This is called rill erosion. It is the intermediate stage between the sheet erosion and gully erosion. Now, what is gully erosion? During heavy downpour, deep gullies are made on bare soil on account of water runoff. Gully erosion removes nutrients and heavy load of loose soil, making the soil unproductive. It makes water very muddy. It is seen in the Chambal Valley region. Now, we will talk about leaching, which I have already told you under the segment of laterite soil. Refer from there. Now, sea or shore erosion. The tidal waters of the sea causes considerable damage to the soil along the coast. The broken material is then removed by the retreating sea waves. This type of sea erosion is seen through the eastern and western coast of India. Now, stream bank erosion. Streams of river changes their courses by cutting one bank and depositing the silt load on the other. During flash flood, the damage is accelerated. Stream bank erosion is prevalent in the floodplains of Ganga, Yamuna and other rivers. So students, I have told you the definitions. What I want is you should note them down somewhere and learn them, because in your board exams basically they can ask you the difference between sheet erosion, rill erosion or gully erosion, which is generally asked. Now in this case, while writing the difference, you will only write the definitions. Like for sheet erosion, you will write the definition of sheet erosion, and under the heading rill erosion, you will write the definition of rill erosion. So this I want to make you very clear. that you have to note down the definitions which I have dictated. Students, in this slide, I will talk about soil fertility. So, what is soil fertility? Soil fertility refers to the strength of the soil to support plant life. You also have to learn the characteristics of fertile soil, which is there in the slide. Another thing which you have to learn is what is the importance of soil. So, the first point is productivity of soil increases agricultural production. Second point, prosperity in agriculture will provide enough raw material to the industries leading to industrial development. Third point, it also helps in general economic development like extraction of minerals, construction work, etc. And the fourth point, the process of soil formation is very slow as it takes many years to form the thin layer of soil. These are the points which come under the heading importance of soil, and you can write the same points under the heading why the soil should be conserved. Now, what are the factors on which the fertility of soil depends? Then the answer will be its origin, the elements present in it, the texture and structure of the soil, the organic and inorganic materials present in it provide the necessary requirement for plant growth. Now students, in this slide, we are going to study about measures of soil conservation. I have just written the points in this slide, and I'm going to tell you the definitions of each of the following. Kindly note them down somewhere. First of all, we will talk about afforestation. So, what is afforestation? Afforestation. New trees should be planted in the areas of soil erosion, and the old ones must be protected. Now, we come to point number 2, that is cover cropping. The gestation period of tree crop is long. The cover crops may be grown between the young trees to prevent soil erosion. The farmers can grow vegetables which they can sell and get some extra income, and they can grow leguminous crops which will increase the fertility of the soil. Now we will talk about crop rotation. The farmers tend to grow particular crops in the same field every year. This can make soil infertile. In the crop rotation, different crops are cultivated on the piece of land. This helps in conserving soil fertility. To check overgrazing. Overgrazing of forest and grasslands by animals should be checked. Separate grazing grounds should be provided. Terrace farming. On hill slopes, terraces act as bunds as the hill is cut into series of terraces and prevent the soil from being washed away by running water and promotes absorption of water. Now, shelter beds. Farmers plant trees in several rows to check wind erosion. They are also known as windbreaks. Contour plowing. Plowing along the contours on a slope prevents soil from being washed away by rain or by surface runoff. Strip cropping. Crops are grown in alternate strip of land to check the impact of the wind. The various crops replenish at different time of the year and are harvested at intervals. Thus, the entire area will not be left exposed at any time of the year. Construction of dam. Rivers cause soil erosion. Dams built in the upper course of the river to control soil erosion. Now, at the last, plugging of gullies. The gullies made by the soil erosion are plugged with deposition of silt during the heavy rain. So these are the points which are the measures of soil conservation. Now, many different questions can be formed under the same heading. The questions are like, write the measures to check soil erosion by water. Then what are the points which you are going to write is, point number 1, that is afforestation. Then point number 5, that is terrace farming. Then point number 7, that is contour plowing. Then point number 9, that is construction of dams. And point number 10, that is plugging of gullies. These were the ways by which you can prevent soil erosion by water. Another question which can be asked is, how can you check soil erosion by wind? In this case, which points you will write are, point number 1, afforestation. Point number 2, cover cropping. Point number 3, crop rotation. Point number 6, shelter beds. Point number 8, strip cropping. And point number 4, to check over grazing. Then another question which can be asked is, state farming methods of conserving soil fertility. Farming methods. In this you will write point number 2, cover cropping. Point number 3, crop rotation. Point number 6, shelter beds. And point number 8, strip cropping. Now, another question which can be asked is, write the advantages of cover cropping. So I have already told you that cover cropping will reduce soil erosion. It will increase the income of the farmer because the vegetables which are grown by the farmers can be sold in the market. And the third is, the cover cropping will increase the fertility of the soil because while doing cover cropping, they can grow leguminous crops which can increase the fertility of the soil. Another question which can come is measures adopted by the government to conserve the soil. The first is integrated watershed management. I want to give you some information for all these points. So better you write them also. First of all, integrated watershed management. Write down. Integrated watershed management in the catchment of flood-prone rivers. It aims at enhancing the ability of the catchment by absorbing large quantity of water, rainwater, reducing erosion and consequent silt load in the stream and river beds. Now, another point is a scheme for reclamation and development of ravine areas. Under this, you can write in Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan, this scheme includes peripheral bunding to halt water further and afforestation of ravines for fuel, fodder and reclamation of shallow ravines. Now, under this heading, the scheme for control of shifting cultivation, you can write in Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram and Nagaland, even Tripura. The integrated program helps the family practice settled agriculture in place of shifting cultivation. National Project on Development and Use of Biofertilizer and National Project on Quality Control. Under this, you can write, these projects encourages the use of biofertilizers as well as balanced and integrated use of fertilizers. Students, the information which I have dictated, you can write it because objective questions can be asked and the information will help you to answer them. But if the simple question is asked, measures adopted by the government to conserve the soil, you can write the 5 points which are given in this slide. So students, with this we come to an end of the chapter soil. Prepare well so that, as in the beginning I said, you can get full marks in your board exam for the questions which are coming from chapter soil.